Hello, learning content creators. We're here again for another webinar regarding instructional design. So, when we talk about instructional design, we're actually talking about your ability as a teacher, as an educator, as a school to design learning resources for your students at home. Being that everybody is resuming school online, so it's important that you know how to quickly. This is not like an in-depth uh, webinar into instructional design. It's just a starter class, so I will not go deep into types of instructional design and all that. I just package this for teachers that need to do something quickly instead of bothering themselves about the theories and of instructional design. So if you're online, please do let me know. Learning content creators. Okay. Design is just so I think I can see myself on the group. Good. So this is practically a starter class, an introductory class, and I will not be going to the theories and what have you about learning instructional design, but I just package something that will work for teachers at this point in time. This is what they need. This is like a survivor toolkit. Yeah, I like that survivor toolkit for teachers and schools. So maybe with time I will share something on in depth on instructional design, but this is just a starter class. So thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this webinar. If you are online, okay, let me share. Okay, thank you for joining the class. Thank you for joining the class. So quickly, I'll go to my slide and share what uh, I have there on instructional design for teachers. Okay, Sister Ronke, thank you for joining. Ronke Posh, thank you for joining. The market is moving on. This is the ministry, Sister Ronke Posh. This is the ministry. Yes, it's a survivor toolkit. Because if this is not the time to start learning in depth about so many things, so it's better we just learn what we think will help teachers on the go immediately. And the I actually target smartphone edition because I found out that most teachers don't even have a laptop. So it's not that it's bad, it's bad as it is, but we can't start questioning them why they don't have laptops at this point in time. So they have smartphone and they can do much with their smartphone. The only thing now is for them to see how they can get data with their school owners and school uh, heads. So data and their smartphone. That's why this class is very, very important for them. Yes, Sister Ronke Posh. Thank you. Working. Okay, thank you. So I'll quickly share my slide while I discuss. I'll quickly share my slide while I discuss what this is about. Okay, so it's an instructional design class for teachers, for online schools and classes. Now, when you're designing an instruction for a class, online class, you know it's going to be different from the kind of instruction you design for your normal class, face-to-face class. It's going to be different. You have to take certain things into consideration, which we're going to run through, and I'll actually show you tools that you immediately need now on your smartphones, be it a screen recorder, be it an app, be it Office for smartphone, is going to be very helpful for you at this point. Boss Adege, thank you for joining the class. Thank you for joining the class, Boss Adege. Uh, so, online instructional design. So, first and foremost, micro lessons. At this point in time, you don't want to actually start creating a lesson, online lesson, a video or two that would take so long for the kids to digest. It's going to be uh, painstaking for any child to start digesting, learning, because you have several subjects. So imagine maths, English, and maybe 10 subjects you are teaching as a preschooler, preschool teacher, or as a primary school teacher, and you are actually bringing long videos. So this at this point in time, micro lesson works, and I'll show you what works for primary and nursery school. So micro lessons specifically, they are just short lessons that are on point. On point, they just talk about topic and they are time bound too. So the maximum length of a micro lesson is just 5 minutes. So the rest is just to get open-ended questions to see how the kid or your students have digested that micro lesson. So quickly, micro lessons are lessons on point for specific aspects of a topic. So you're not going to be teaching like 3 or 4 aspects of a topic on a go online. So at when you're creating your resources as a teacher or as an educator for online purposes, especially for your young kids, micro lessons work perfectly. They work like magic. So that is your survivor toolkit number one. Number two, these are just list of things you should take notes of when you are designing your instructions. We'll go to the main topic two. Number two, think more about assessment while creating content. Think more about assessment while creating content. That is important. You don't create an online class resource without thinking of how will I assess this, because sometimes it could be very easy to just create a video, create a image, create and just okay, push it out to your students for them to digest, but you don't know how to assess that particular content you have created or that particular micro lesson you have created. So first, as when you're creating your resources, think how will I assess this resource? How am I going to prove that this child has learned it aside just quiz and all that things? So those are kind of assessment too. So that should be part of your strategy when you are creating a micro lesson. Think first about your assessment before thinking about creating the content. How will you assess it? And once you understand how to assess that particular content, it's going to be easier for you to actually help your students understand it. And number three, show, don't tell. This is not the time for you to create content that you talk, 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 talk. No, you have to show more. You have to show a lot of description. Whatever you're talking about, you have to show it more than you're just talking about it. So show more, don't tell. That will actually make it easier for your students to learn it or have a visual representation in their head or in their mind about your content. So show, don't tell. Uh, Thank you, Joma, Editor Power. Thank you, Parabel. Thank you so for joining us, for joining the class. Okay, next is use storytelling for live examples. Now, if you're creating a content and you need to describe something or you need to give an example of something, story works fantastic. It gives your content this human feel, and it gives it much more realistic attributes. Since you are doing it from using a video, you are doing a live session, so use story kind of storytelling techniques works perfectly for your examples. For example, you are teaching the comprehension, or you're teaching parts of speech, or teaching even maths, whatever you're teaching, use a story format or story tone to explain it, especially your example. So it gives it a much more natural feel. It gives it much a human touch, and it's not just a random YouTube video, a random video you pick outside. Gifts. Thank you for joining, Omagele. Thank you. Next is include activity-based lesson for ease of assessment. Now, it's difficult to create, for example, a video that is activity-based if you are not really good at creating videos for such purposes. So it's better you look for a short activity. That's why I call it a micro lesson. Micro lesson. Just one activity on that video that is going to make it easier for you to assess, because you can actually assess activity using a rubric. You can actually assess an activity. So very short activity that a child can do at their own end, or their parents can just assist or guide that child in, and make sure that the activity you are creating does not involve too much of the parents' efforts, because you know the parents are going to be dealing with other subjects. So don't make it to the point that you create an activity that 100% what they call it 100% effort of the parents would be required, or 100% hands-on with the parents will be required. So create an activity that the child can almost do on their own. They just need one or two guides from the parents. So it releases that stress from the parents, that they're almost being the one teaching their kids while you are there just giving instruction. So make sure that what you include activity-based lessons for ease of assessment, and make it very short and make it very child-centered. That means your child should be the one to do that thing, and it should not involve too much of the parents' supervision. Number next one there of your on your survivors toolkit is your online lesson content should be created with the weakest learners in mind. This is very important. When you are creating a content, make sure you have the weakest learner in your class. Weakest learner in your class, maybe the child with special needs. Have that person in mind, have that child in mind when you're creating your content. It's going to help ease the frustration that child might go through in just digesting your content. And it's going to even make it easier for those high flyers in your class to digest such content easily, because you are not going to be stressing much on just the strong people in your class or the strong students. You are also going to be focusing on the weakest students. So when you are creating a content, have it in mind that this weak child, how can I teach such concepts to them, and at least they can easily understand it if somebody close by just explain one or two words with to them. So make sure you have the weakest learner in mind when you're creating your content. Next one is young learners content should contain the face and voice of their teachers. Okay, this is very important. Fine, you can use random YouTube videos, but be careful. It might not speak as much as possible compared to the teacher yourself, to the child. If the teacher is involved in creating a content and their voice, their picture, the child can actually relate. They can actually feel more at home. They can actually feel more engaged with such content, because it's putting your okay putting your child putting your child face, or your child your I mean your the teacher's face or the teacher's voice in the content actually makes it possible for such content to be relatable for that kid. That child will easily find it better to understand. So it's actually important for teachers. Put your picture, just your picture on the first slide or the first part of your presentation, then your name and all that. So your voice makes it much more relatable for that child. Okay, who's online? Who's online, Mr. Eben? Thank you for joining the class. Mr. Eben, thank you for Mrs. Kemi Akinloye, thank you for joining. Indiana Vaughn, my sister, thank you for joining. Mr. Olariwaju, hey brotherly, thank you for joining. Adeo Esther, thank you for joining the class. So the next one there is the teach kids storytelling online with animation apps. Now you have several apps. I'll show you how they work. Uh, in case you are teaching a grammar class or a literature class, storytelling apps a lot now. They come in handy now. They come in very useful now because they help your learners put together those words you have talked about as the story. So most times we tell stories just by words. Now this is the time to actually show those stories with those the storytelling apps. I'll show you some that works. Now, next thing, tags before apps, tags before apps, tags before apps. I can't overemphasize that. Tags before apps. Set out your tags for your content. Know the tags that will make that content very relatable, very engaging, and very efficient for learning for that child. First of all, before you start thinking of the apps, set up the tags, then you start working on the apps that will make that task possible. So don't start looking for the apps first, or start looking, I want this app, I want that app. This app can do this. No, think of the task that ties up to your assessment and your activity. So tasks before apps. So you get to know the tasks that will work for your child or work for your student, then before you start looking for the apps that will help you help that child perform that task. The next one there is the teach only what is important. Use a mind map to draw out your topics and learning outcome. This time, at this point in time, mind maps come in handy, very handy. So you need a mind map or something like that. You can use PowerPoint. PowerPoint has some kind of flow charts, mind map tools. So you could use it to connect. Okay, since you want to teach what is important, you are not going to be having time for elaborate activities. Definitely, what you simply do is use the mind map to draw out whatever topic and see what is important in that topic and what you are trying to teach. So that will actually help you put out the unnecessary stuff you are trying to teach that child or trying to teach online, because we are looking at data, we are looking at resources. So we are going to be teaching what is important, not just trying to create an elaborate activity on that. So that's a little bit on online instructional design. Okay. Next one is the rule of thumb. I know videos are the is the selling thing now. Video is the in thing now. Everybody is making videos. Everybody is trying to put content into their videos and make it much more appealing and much more interesting. So what you should take note of when you are creating your video for your learners. Number one, it should be simple as possible. That video should not contain too many images, too many what they call it, unnecessary background distraction and all that. It should be as simple as possible. Your video should be as simple as possible. As at this point, you could actually use the slide to convert your slides to video. So it should be simple as possible. You should not talk too much on several topics or several aspects of a topic. Just make it brief and make it straight to the point, and make the whatever learning outcome you're trying to achieve from that be on point. Number two, there is little or no background distractions. Like I said, it should not contain much background distractions, because it's not healthy for learning. Distractions can make your content ambiguous and make it so much flashy and distracting too to learning. So make sure there are no much background distraction. Language and audio sound loud and clear. Your language should be clear. Your audio sound should be clear. At this point, when you might need an external mic. I think I have several I've bought over time. External mic that you can connect to your phone to talk, because sometimes when you're creating your content, your microphone on your smartphone might not be sufficient. You might need to almost put your mouth on the microphone aspect of your smartphone to talk. So it's better to just get an external mic that you can connect on the headset port on your phone. Once you connect it, it starts where it works automatically. It's a plug and play. Then you start recording your sessions. So it makes your work loud and clear, and your language actually much more rich. So because you can give a visual to a child, and if the voice or the voiceover or the sound is not too clear, you find that it's difficult to learn anything. So audio is as important as your visuals. Audio and your clarity of your sound is as important as your visuals. So make sure you have an external mic you can connect to your phone. Next thing, subtitling. When you create a video, make sure you subtitle it. Add English subtitle to it, so that even if you have a child that is having a little bit of hearing impairment, they can actually read with their eyes too. So make sure there's a text floating or somewhere beneath the visual, so that each time you say something, it displays the word on the screen. It also helps your child to focus on the content. Now, the next one, number 5, there should be a task for learners at the end of the video. Create a video and put a task at the end. Create a video content and put a task at the end. This is not a movie video you're creating, or this is not just a random video. This is specific for a particular purpose or topic or skill you are teaching a child online. So make sure you put a task. The task can be a form of a big text, and you talk over that text and tell the child, do this after watching this video. So it gives that video much more purpose. It's still what you do in classroom. After a class, you give an exercise, right? Good. So after creating a video, put a task at the end of that video. Number 6, there should be a way to assess learners who see the video. Yes, after watching the video, you can also assess your learner. There's what they call video quiz. Some apps allow you create a quiz on your video, so that after watching the video at a point in time, a quiz just pops up and the child interacts with that quiz. So there's also what we call video quiz. So that also helps you figure out who watched your video, how much does your student understand that video. Is important, because it's not just watching the video, but how much do they understand the video content you're churning out and you're putting out there. And you can always make adjustments when you get this feedback from your students. You can make adjustment on your next video, so that it gets better and better and much more improved. And your micro lesson, like I told you, maximum 10 minutes. So it should be between 1 to 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. But for nursery school, I'll get to show you what works for them. So that's for my slide. That's for my slide. That's for my slide. So, yes. Okay. So that's for my slide. So if you have questions, ask. If you have okay, you never thought of including subtitles. Okay. Subtitles work perfectly at this point when you are creating a video, because they need to read, and this hard work is going to be very difficult task for teachers to do, but somehow it makes their learning or their such content easy. So you get to a point where you are watching a movie and you are seeing the, what they call it, the title of that movie, the subtitling on that movie, and you enjoy the movie more when you are seeing the subtitling, especially if it's in a different language. Not that you are going to be speaking a different language, you are still speaking English, but subtitling makes it much more relatable for a child or for a learner. Uh, okay, okay. So, Tinuade, thank you for joining. Adewumi Felix, thank you. Modular Esther, thank you for joining the class. So I'll take you to the main. I'll take you to the main slide. Okay, this is the main slide. Presentation mode. So we start. So number 1, first and foremost, DIY video instruction time span for preschool. It's 1 to 2 minutes, very short, 1 to 2 minutes. Your video content, it should be 1 to 2 minutes. If you're creating that kind of instruction, it should not be more than necessary. So 1 to 2 minutes is enough for preschool. Primary school, 2 to 5 minutes. For especially for upper classes, 2 to 5 minutes is enough. So don't create long videos that are difficult for your child to digest, or it's difficult for you to even produce, because when we're talking about subtitling now, your videos, it means it's a lot of work. So the shorter the video, the better, so that you can produce it uh, more often and you can produce it quickly. So the next one there is the format. So we look at the format for instructional design. What formats are you going to be working with? Video is one of the formats. We have simulation apps. This is a format in which a child learns uh, probably like a hands-on activity as a simulation or as a through an app. So that is also what helps too. If you have a kinesthetic learners and you want them to have a hands-on experience on setting, so a simulation app works very, very nice. Then the next one there is the next one there. Let me zoom it. Okay. Next one there is the games. They are gamified apps all around. I'll share one with you now. I'll share one with you. ABCY gamified apps is very intuitive. Now it's not just giving the child go and play a game. No, the apps like ABCY contains topical games, so you could use that link, share it with your students, and they play the game and they show you the score. That can be a way of assessing them too. Videos, we have talked much about videos. Uh, Under videos, you have slides. When you're creating your video, you could use a slideshow and record, use a screen recorder, and it becomes a video. So you could talk over your slideshow and convert it to an MP4 file, which can be shared with your students. Animated videos, we have the 3D animation, we have the normal and animated videos, like using animation from PowerPoint, slideshow, and all that. So make sure you're doing something you can afford and something you can easily do over a long period of time. Don't uh, start looking for all kinds of apps that to help you achieve a particular thing. It's going to waste your time. It's going to be much. It's not going to be intuitive, because at this point we're in survival mode, or we're trying to survive or make our schools float even in this downtime. So animations works for kids, preschool kids and primary school kids. Pre-recorded video also works. We'll be talking about video recording. So pre-recorded video is simply the teacher go in front of the camera, phone camera, and talk about that topic. So pre-recorded video works easily. So under audio, you have podcasts for listening skills. So if you want to test listening skills, or if you want to teach listening skills, definitely nothing works much better online than having a podcast shared to your students, and they listen to it and carry out the instruction on that podcast. So you are going to be teaching listening skills with a podcast. So that helps for preschool. I don't know how efficient it's going to be for lower preschool, maybe nursery one or nursery one. But for nursery two, since they are closer to grade one, it's going to be perfect for them. So look for a way of recording your voice and share your podcast on your learning management system, and make sure they are able to listen to it and carry out definite instruction. So you are going to be teaching listening skills using podcast. Next thing there is images. Under images, you have GIF images. These are animated images you see. So that those kind of images can be created with your phone too. It's just a matter of putting several images together, and automatically it becomes a kind of short animated image. So it could be used to teach specific or targeted kind of skills, or you are trying to tell the child what to do when they are using a particular app. So GIF images work perfectly. Slideshow, we talked about slideshow. I'll show you how to put together your slideshow on mobile PowerPoint or mobile Office app. Then you can also use infograph, but it's kind of tricky because if you are using infograph for younger students, it has to be images they can relate to. Maybe you put several apples, especially in what they call it. In numeracy, infograph works perfectly. So you could put several apples on a particular picture or several items and tell them to analyze it and all that. So as a teacher, as a preschool teacher, you need to first understand how that process works in your class. Then you think of walkthrough on how it's going to work online or with a particular digital format. So infograph works, but it's not going to be those complicated infographs with graphs and all that. It could be just simple infographs of numbers, trying to help them understand count items and identify numbers. So infograph works at this point in time. Who's online? Mr. Ibe, thank you for joining. The Tolu Lokwe, thank you for joining. Okay, Gift, you have a question there. Your question, I don't know. Let me see. Okay, let me. Okay, let's see. So your question is, I don't know if you mentioned, given the circumstances we find ourselves, parents may not be able to step out to print out worksheets sent to their. Yes, I'm coming to that. Yes, I'm coming to that. I think that I have that under my slide assessment. Yes, I'm coming to that. At this point in time, you don't need to print out. What you simply need is for the child to just I'll explain it later on anyway, but let me just give you a tip of the iceberg. At this point, you don't need to print out much. What works online with kids is for them to be able to download the image of what you want to print, and they trace it with maybe an image editor and upload it automatically to you. So they don't have to even print it out. They just work with their tablet with an image editor. I'll show you how it works, or use a uh, whiteboard app. So they just trace on it or work on it using their devices without actually printing it, and automatically the saved results of what they have done, they upload it to you, the teacher, so you see what they have done and you don't need to see a physical hard copy. Yes. Are there apps that allow learners work on their computer and send it to? Yes, there are. Your The learning management system, the LMS you are adopting, should have that ability. Google Classroom has that. Edmodo, I think so, yes. But Google Classroom allows a child to actually work on the specific document sent to them and is returned to the teacher without even downloading or even printing it out. So your learning management system has that in place. But even if your learning management system is not having that, like I told you before, now image editors is going to come in handy, because your children are going to be drawing on your worksheet with their hands or their fingers, and they're going to be doodling a lot. At this point in time, they're going to be doodling. You're ahead of doodle, right? Yes. uh I'll talk about the apps that works for you. Okay. Next is text. What kind of text should you be presenting to your kids? They should be colorful, not black and white text. They should be colorful. It's gonna be boring reading black and white text. It's gonna be tiring on your eyes. So texts that are flashy, not colorful, but just flashy, that are big, bold, and easy to read, and a little bit of design will make it interesting on a video or for your kids to read. So even if you are going to give them text to read, make sure it's well formatted, that is so big they can read it and they can enjoy reading it, because sometimes text can be boring if it's too small or even normal size text and just black and white and plain. It could be boring. It's for adults. For children, they need much more artistic text on their screen. So you could actually create an image text, meaning you use a photo editor, create a message on the text and send it to your kids so they read it and it's interesting and it's much more fun for them to enjoy that content. Like I said, it should be colorful and big enough. So that's for formats that are possible. So let's look at activities. Yes, important, very important. Activities. What kind of activities do you want to show your kids, or what kind of activity will work for your content? So number one activity strategy there is app-based activities. App-based activities are activities that you they involve the child using an app to create something. So these are app-based activities. So you as a teacher, you would have known, teachers using that strategy should know that app-based activity are very important in teaching specific skills. So for example, you tell them to go to use an app that teaches numeracy or ABCYA kind of format. So what you simply do is make sure they are able to share their scores if it's a gamified app, or if it's share their results with you so that you can use that to assess that child ability. So the important thing there is not them learning how to just use the app, but learning how to use the app to perform a specific activity, or complete a specific task, or learn a specific skill. So the skill is more important, not just the app. Like I told you, tasks before apps. So tasks before apps means that child should understand the skill first, even while they are using the app. So they should know that they are not just using the app for play, but they are learning a particular skill. And that skill is what you're assessing. You are not assessing their app usage knowledge. You are not assessing how they know how to use that app. You are actually assessing the skill sets they display while using that app. Molayo Phillips, thank you for joining. Next one there is the skill aside app use. Like I told you before, skill aside the app use. So what skill are you teaching while they are using the app? That is what you're assessing. You're assessing the ability to complete a specific skill or activity or task, not just knowing how to use a specific app. Doodle on image, that's what the question I'm talking about, gift. This is very important. There are apps out. It's more like you are using a whiteboard or interactive whiteboard and you are drawing on it and all that. So when a child is drawing or tracing a specific image or completing a specific task, doodling or drawing on that task is important, since they are not going to be printing it out and everything's going to be digitally inclined on their devices. So doodle on an image is a good task or a good way for your students to complete certain activity. Then video file creation, you can tell them to create a video file of them doing a task or completing an assignment or talking about a particular concept. Now it's going to be much more rich stuff your children will be using as a way of activity. So it's not going to be the boring class sessions or just class sessions where the child talk and it cannot be replayed. So the child can create a video of them making a presentation. So that works as an activity. Or they can create an image or put together a slideshow of a particular assignment you are giving to them. So it becomes what? A collage, which you can also access. Or an audio file. You can tell them to create an audio file talking about, especially in language classes, this is important, audio file creation. So they could talk and repeat or emphasize certain language skills you are trying to teach them, so they can share that audio file they have created on their devices with the teacher, and the teacher goes over it. Text file creation, this is just the normal typing, so they could type a letter or type an article or whatever you're teaching, or type certain words that you are trying to that is tied to a skill. So it's not just the typing, it's tied to a skill you are trying to teach them. Omalai or Phillips, thank you for joining. Okay, assessment. Assessment is important. Like I told you, assessment comes before your content. So while you are creating your content, learn or teach your students how to uh, digest that content, and you, the teacher, you should know how to assess that content. That is also what distinguishes you as a teacher from the parents. Parents can assess these things, parents can grade it. So your professionalism comes in during assessment as a teacher, so you could assess that learning. So text and image quizzes, that is popular. You create a text and image, a quiz for the student to fill multiple choice questions and all that, and maybe an image. You ask them to analyze the image and write their thoughts. So that is also a way of assessing digital content. Audio quiz, like I told you, it's a way of feedback or response to a during a language class, or you are testing their listening skills of your students. Next thing, video quiz. They watch a video and ask them questions at various points on that video to put out their thoughts. So that shows that they understand the video and they have digested the video properly. Poll, you can use poll to also assess your students. You could use voice notes too to assess your students. They ask them to drop a voice note or ask them to drop a voice explanation of their understanding on a particular topic or concept. Voice note works perfectly. Okay, Kemi Pupola, you're just coming in. Okay, what site are you getting this from? Would love to explore it. Okay, this is not site. This is not a site. This is like a mind map app I converted to a web page. So it's not a site I'm using actually per se. If you're talking about the presentation, it's not a site. If you're talking about uh, what I'm using for my video conference is StreamYard. It's a site actually. StreamYard is a site, but for the content itself, I actually converted my mind map into a web page for presentation. Odeje Bikwe, thank you for joining. Okay. Next is screenshots. It works best for images or for students who are going to be working with having worksheets sent to them. So if you send a worksheet to your students, they don't need to print it out. They can doodle or draw on the worksheets to answer their questions. Make sure it is like a tracing activity, not just a written activity. Written activity might not work very well on such in such cases. So make sure, like, you send them a clock, what they call it. You send them a picture of clocks and tell them, like, telling the time kind of activity. So you send them a picture of clocks and tell them to draw 4 o'clock on the image, so they can draw it and you can assess it if it's correct too. Next thing is screen sharing during webinar. During when you're sharing a particular when you're what works also, you could tell them to share their screen. I'll show you a perfect app at this point in time. We're all using Zoom. Zoom has its limitations because of the pricing, but there's an app I'll show you that is free and it takes up to 1,000 participant, and it allows collaboration and allows several other features. It also has a radio, so you can stream your lesson as a radio online. So I'll take you through that. So screen sharing, if you're having a live session with your students, maybe you ask them to come online and you're doing a video conference. If the app I'm going to show you has the ability for students to share their screen online. So if you are giving them an assignment on their tablet, they can share their screen online so that it becomes what they call it becomes easy for the teachers to see what they are doing on their screen. So they can share their screen and show you the assignment, and you can actually use that as a way of assessing them individually. So it's easy and it's straightforward. So your student can share their screen during the webinar, even as you, the teacher, can too. Feedback boards. There's Padlet. Padlet is a feedback board or a way of student posting their work on a site, sort of, and anyone that goes there, any of the classmates or the teacher that goes there, they can see on board what the child has done or submitted their responses. So Padlet is a good app, but Padlet is a paid for app now, and it's kind of very expensive. It's no longer, it's free, but they don't allow much participant except you go for the paid version. So that might work for high-end schools. Padlet. Game scores. So you can ask your student to play a game and they share the screen, they share their scores to you, and you can use that to also assess them. So they could play a game like ABCY, and you actually see what they can do based on their on the skills they are learning by playing that game. So delivery, how do you deliver? How do you deliver? You deliver through learning management system. There are popular ones, the Canvas, Instructure, uh, Edmodo, free ones, Google Classroom, Schoology, and what have you. So these are free platforms that makes it possible to deliver your content. So by now your school would have made a decision on that, or you go for local homemade products like Edverse and other products that you think works for you. So you need a learning management system to deliver your content and interact with your students, and your students interact with your content. You can also build up a website. So a website uploads too, you can deliver on a website, school websites or school online resources. Okay, who's online? Okay, augmented reality apps works perfectly. You could use augmented reality and app to uh, to host your to host your content for them. It mostly works for task-based activities. So these augmented reality apps actually are perfect for task-based activities with your students. Next one is virtual reality apps. So these where they have to wear the glasses and all that. So you could use Google Cardboard and host your content on the virtual reality app. It mostly works for like simulated environment, creating a simulated environment for your students to learn specific like sciences. So they could learn science or learn any kind of visual subject that has like art and all that, or using augmented reality apps or even virtual reality apps. So you could also use a whiteboard. I'll share a whiteboard with you, what a whiteboard looks like and what you can do with it. So a whiteboard is actually your student having what they call it, interactive whiteboard on their devices with the teacher. And so it's like a collaborative platform where the teacher can teach on a whiteboard using his or her smartphone or computer, while the students can see whatever he's teaching on their own end using their own devices. So they can even interact on the whiteboard by drawing or what they call it, typing or asking questions. So it's still like a video conference, but you are not having to see your teacher using a camera. You are going to be interacting with your teacher using a whiteboard. So it's like having one whiteboard shared by the teacher and students. So while the teacher is teaching, somehow even allows you to record your information or your content on that whiteboard. Video conference, we've talked about that. These are apps that allows your students to interact with you using a webcam. Podcast, through audio, you can interact with your students through audio, especially when it comes to testing their listening skills. And blog, you can also interact on a blog. You can tell your children to populate a blog or create a blog and put certain information. So you are teaching them how to a specific skill on how to uh, pass information on a blog, or actually how to create content or create copyright content on a blog. So the next thing is literacy preschool. For your literacy class preschool, what works for your reading skills? If you are going to be teaching reading skills, what you simply do is use this website. PBS is a app. Sorry, it's not a website. It's an app. PBS Kids is an app that teach literacy and numeracy. So learn how to use the app and start giving your students tasks and assess those tasks by them showing you results. Okay. You can also, like I told you, you can also ask your students to share their screen on what they are doing, specific tasks they are doing on their tablet or their phone or what have you. They can also use a flashcard. You can tell them to create flashcards, or you use a flashcard to communicate certain words to them, especially when you are talking about parts of speech and all that. So you could use flashcards during your screen share session and ask them to share activities that can be shared on their screen using same flashcards. So you have screen readers. Screen readers is important for reading activities. So if you want to teach a reading activity, you can actually use the screen reader. There are apps that read your screen, like Google Talkback. So it can read your screen and read whatever is on. So it also works for kids who are not able to digest text easily. So a screen reader will work perfectly for them and help the teacher teach them how to read or understand certain words on their screen. So writing skills. Under writing skills, if you are teaching writing skills in preschool, abcya.com. I'll share the screen of AB. This is abcya. So it's a website where you have. Let me see if I can share it on the. Let me see if I can share it on my. Okay, let me see if I can share my. Okay, so this is. I'll paste it now. ABCYA. Okay, okay, I've shared it. So that's abcya.com. It has its premium version. It also has its premium free version. So the free version, you could use it to teach specific kind of skills. So this is abcya. So it has for different classes. The thing is that don't just give your students abcya to go and play with. Don't tell them go and use abcya, but research the tags on abcya. It's a gamified kind of website. So it research the tags on abcya and ask your students to complete such tasks. So we have different head games, puzzle game, form fraction, compete against your friends, so they can collaborate online on a game, and different features. So make sure you research the tasks on abcya and use it to engage your students for a specific topic or to reinforce that particular learning. Uh, So ABCY is a good website that makes it possible for you to reinforce learning of your content. So you have live board. This is a live board. Okay, live board allows, it's free anyway, but you have the free version, you have the premium version. So all you simply need to do is create a group board, or you come here, create a board. You have create PDF, from PDF join session. So your student will be using the join session button, while you, the teacher, will create a board. Now the board is how you are going to interact with your teacher. Then you share your board by clicking the share. Okay. Okay, so not allow me share the board now because I'm having a, okay. Okay, I can now actually share the board. Now invite people to the board. So I just click what? Go to code session. So this code here, GEWT9, is the classroom board. So I send it to my students, and automatically what happens is they come to my online whiteboard where I can teach them with the board with this code. So once they download the white live board app and join with this code, I can now teach them with any of these tools there. They can interact, we can chat, you can also record the session and share with them later on, so that those who missed the class and those who even were in the class, they can rewatch the interaction. So you can add image, you can add text to your whiteboard, you can add PDF files, you can add shapes, you can add lines, you can point, you can use different tools here for your whiteboard. So you could draw on it. You could add your shapes. Say, take for example, you're adding this shape. Okay. Okay. So you could add shapes. You could teach certain concepts or certain skills using the whiteboard. So like I told you, it should be well planned. You should know the kind of tasks you want to perform and the kind of tools that will be necessary for that task. So whiteboard works perfectly. Next is trace image and upload. That answers gives question that instead of downloading and printing, so you could actually give them images to trace. So they are going to be working with either what they call it, a whiteboard, where they can upload that image to the whiteboard, and okay, they can upload the image to the whiteboard and trace on it and send it back to the teacher. So you can trace image on your whiteboard too. And if you are testing their listening skills, use a video conference. Your video conference will emphasize on to do activities if you are testing the listening skills of your student. If you have a live session with them, make sure it's tailored towards to do activities. Now for primary school, students, for literacy, if you are going to teach them reading skills, you can read live on video chats. Now this is free conference call, a very powerful. I'll quickly give you a rundown of the features on free conference call. It's a free, you can have it on Android, you can have it on your desktop, downloaded. So this is the app. If you are hosting a session, you click on host and create your session. And if you want your student to join you, they click on join and they practically use the link generated by you, by the host. So it's much more cheaper than Zoom, and it's much more efficient in terms of what it can do. Now, number one, it's okay. I'll go straight to what concerns teachers. It has breakout rooms for participants. You can call control. It has a meeting settings. It has voice over internet, VoIP. For the video conference and screen sharing aspect of it, you can try our free video conferencing with up to 1,000 participants. Zoom is like 100 participants, but this is 1,000 participants that can be invited. So you can teach a whole school by just video call. You can share your screen and annotate on your screen, draw and switch presenters. So you can actually have several teachers hosting, like you are creating a channel online. So the school might just decide to have teachers come together and host a particular class. and invite their students. So you can annotate and switch presenter. You can give, each teacher can take their turn in teaching a particular concept. You can record and play back. Now it gives you up to a gig, 1 gigabyte of storage free space, so that you can actually record your sessions. You can draw on it. It also has a remote desktop where you can control what happens on your student's device too. It allows chatting of all hosts and participants during the call. It also has a studio presentation. It has a meeting wall where you can broadcast and share your resources. So during your conference call, you can share your PDF files, your documents, your images, your worksheets on it. And it also has the most important, the cool part, it has a radio, meaning you can broadcast. This is the radio, so you can actually broadcast your session online, like your online radio. So you share the link and they can listen. If they don't have facilities to watch, they can listen to your class online. So it's like you are streaming a radio station on your class online. So that works perfectly on using a live reading on a video chat. Live reading on video chat. So videos with big text, like I told you, your videos should have subtitles, screen readers, very important for the reading skills of primary school. Screen readers, videos with big text. Next is the listening skills. How do you ABCYA also has kind of what they call it, kind of games that test listening skills, trace recorders, and upload. So you could send a detailed audio message to your students, and they trace and they perform a specific task and upload it to you. They can draw on their screen, and also they can watch and write. So you can send a video content that allows them watch, and automatically they write after watching. Also, it tests their listening skill. You can test their listening skills by what? Listen and write. So you send an audio message to them to listen and write. So you are testing their listening skills. And your video conference should emphasize on to do activities. So next thing there, for numeracy, what works for preschool? Animated slides works for preschool and numeracy. Whiteboard, like I've shown you, screen share. The math aspect of ABCYA. ABCYA has, for example, if you are taking K grade, so it brings out different fun games, alphabets and numbers and all that. So you pick out the ones for your specific topic and share with your students. So you can also ask them to share the screen during a live session. During when you are having a video conference with them, they can share their screen of what they are doing on the app or the game. Draw on e-worksheets. We've discussed that. An image editor or a live board kind of app, whiteboard kind of app is necessary. What for numeracy? Animated slide works for primary school, whiteboard, screen share, and math apps. This works for primary school students. Quickly, I'll share with you mobile apps that you need. First and foremost, you need this mobile app, Do Recorder. Get it. It's intuitive. I know you already have several screen recorder on your phone, but why I'm picking this is because it's like your Swiss Army knife. Yes, it has several tools that you can use on the go without needing to download other apps. So you can edit a video with your Do Recorder. You can edit a video. You can merge videos and images together. You can compress video, which is important. When after creating video, you need to compress it so that it's not too big for you to share or for your student to download. So you can compress video. You can create a GIF video here. That's a short video that is animated image. You can also use Wi-Fi transfer. You can also edit images using Do Recorder. And you can also stitch images by using stitching images means you can put two or more images together vertically or horizontally. In terms of you are trying to create something like an infograph sort of, so you can use it to stitch images. So do recorder works perfectly, and it also allows you to customize your content by allowing you put what they call it, uh where is it, allowing you personalize with watermarks, or allowing your I think it can also live stream too. It can also live stream on Facebook and uh YouTube. So you could take screenshots with it, you could use your camera with it, you could create a GIF image, and you could also show themes, what they call it, you could also add watermarks to it. So you could customize your videos or your content using a screen recorder like do recorder. So it's free. Let me see if I can get it, if I can get the link for you. uh do recorder, I'm supposed to have prepared it before now. Do recorder, okay. Do recorder, okay, this is the website. Do recorder, okay. I'll share it on the comment section. I hope you can see it. Okay, do recorder. Okay, this is it. I'll show it. Yeah. So do recorder. That's the website. It works for Android phones mostly, and it also works for iPhones and Windows. But since this edition is for smartphones, it works perfectly for almost anything you want to do in video and image creation. So you can edit your video, like I told you. You can edit your video. You can edit your video. You can stitch images and all that. Okay. Quickly. So the next thing there is Sketch. Sketch is an image editor, so you might need to download it. It's no longer on Play Store. It's a Sony app. It's a Sony smartphone app, but it's no longer on Play Store. Sketch. You can download it on. Let me see. Sketch app. Okay. Okay. I'll use Sony Sketch app. Okay. This is the icon Sketch. So you could download it from any of these. It's no longer on Play Store. So what you simply do is go to this site here, APK Mirror, and download it as an offline app. So it works perfectly as an image editor. Okay, this is it. This is your Sketch app. Uh, you could. Okay, let me share the link first. Paste. Okay. I don't want to share it on screen. So what works? Maybe I'll share it after the webinar, so that, because it seems to be a long link. So this Sketch app, you could have images on it. Noye Martins, thank you for joining. AGD Primary School, thank you for joining. Victor Gumbeku, thank you for joining the webinar. So Sketch app works for mobile. It gives you lots of options in editing an image, and it also can be what your students might need to draw on on a worksheet activity with their fingers. So that is a perfect app. Then you have the Office. By now, I have shared this before earlier. So this is Microsoft Office on mobile phone. So you just click, after downloading it, you have this home page. You have the home. You have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, and all that. Next, you click on Documents, and you scroll through to PowerPoint. So you have blank presentation. So I'm teaching, I think there's a request for somebody who needs to learn, who needs to know how to use a smartphone to create documents. So all you just need to do is go to Play Store. This is on Play Store, and type MS Office, Microsoft Office. It's going to give you this particular app. So it works perfectly like PowerPoint, and I've used it to actually create a specific a content on numeracy, the Apple thing. So you check the post, the previous post before this webinar. You see a video I created using this PowerPoint uh, for Android. So this is it. So you could create slides. So these are the slide areas. You could add images, you could add shapes, and it's very rich. And you could also add animation, which is very interesting. You could add the animations. You could add animations on it. You could add pictures. You could also add tables. You could add tables on it. So this is a table. You could allow comments. And when you are done, once you have created, like I told you, your first slide when creating your content should be your what they call it, picture, the picture of this teacher with the name and the subject, so that the child can relate with that content. Then you use your do recorder here. Use your do recorder here to record you presenting your slide. So you just swipe your phone, make sure you are on presentation mode. That's this button here. Make sure it's on slide presentation. Then you can use your screen recorder to record yourself presenting your slide. So you talk and swipe, I think swipe left, then it goes to the next slide, because it's going to be taking full screen on your phone. So this works perfectly when creating very short presentation and on point presentation for your student with your smartphones. So I'll go through it again. Microsoft Office, Sketch app, Sony Sketch app, Do Recorder, and Live Board. Okay, Live Board and Free Conference Call. Free Conference Call is also free. Free Conference Call. So this Live Board, though this for the browser part, it has an app, Android app. So these are what you go and download now. Free Conference Call, I've read through the features, and you can see it's very rich, richer than, it's still the same thing with Zoom, but it allows much full functional feature than Zoom. Okay, Favor Ebere, thank you for joining the class. Okay, Math app. So that is a wrap for this webinar. That's a wrap for this webinar. I hope you are able to at least digest what I've been able to share this evening. It's been a long, it's almost an hour. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about it, and let me see what strategy you are going to be implementing almost immediately. So the apps, like I've shared, what goes through the video, you can see them. Free Conference Call app, that's a better alternative to Zoom. The Sketch app is for image editing and image creation. The Live Board is for sharing your whiteboard with your students and teaching with a whiteboard with your students. Which other one? The Microsoft Office package, you can download it on Play Store. That works perfectly. And the Do Recorder, very important. Do Recorder enables you create video recording of your slides on your screen of your smartphone. So it's very perfect. And I told you before that Do Recorder is your Swiss knife army, Swiss Army knife, sorry, Swiss Army knife. It has what they call it. Let me take you there to its contents or the features on. Okay, okay. It has a video editor. It has a video and photo editor or image merge. It has what else? It has photo stitch. I use it often. It allows you to customize your video. So you can put your name on your video. You can put your image on your video, maybe like your logo, sort of. Okay, this is it. So you can edit video, you can merge videos and images together, you can compress video, which is important when you create a video because most times it's going to be big, so you need the ability to compress your videos. You can create GFI images, Wi-Fi transfer. You can also edit images on it, and you can also stitch images, meaning you can join more than two images on it. Let me share the screen again so that I'll wrap it up. So this is your Do Recorder, edit image, merge image, compress video to GIF, edit image, edit video, and also stitch images. So that's it on our webinar. Mrs. Simeo Sola Boladi, thank you for joining the class for Lashade. Okay. Okay, what apps used for tracing or letter and numbers? Yes, if you have a worksheet, a tracing worksheet, you send it to your students, ask them to download Liveboard and Sketch, so they can use any of them to trace any image. They can also use Do Recorder too, since Do Recorder allows you edit image, so they can use it to trace objects on your worksheet and save it and share it with you later, so you see their work the same way you have seen on digital. You see it in the same digital format you have sent it to them, but with their tracing work done on it. So okay, the apps again, like I told you, you have the you have the live board, you have the ABCYA, you have the free conference call, you have the free conference call, you have the Sketch app, you have the uh, Do Recorder, you have the Microsoft Office app. So those are the major apps you might need to start. So the Microsoft Office app contains both PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and other features too. So that's it. Okay. Live Recorder, ABCYA, free conference call, Sony Sketch, Draw and Paint app. Okay. This is the free conference call. This is the Microsoft Office this is the Microsoft Office. Let me take it back. Okay. So that's the Microsoft Office. That's Do Recorder.